Hi, I'm Sarah Lindsay. This is just a half an hour yin sequence, kind of focusing a bit on everything. You'll just need a strap. We'll start immediately on our backs. If you don't have a strap, you can use a shart or a tie, anything that kind of resembles just doing the same action, just to help pull the leg in. You'll take the strap around your left foot, around the ball of the foot, or the heel if you feel a little more flexible. You can either bend your right knee with the right foot to the floor for more support, or if you want a bit more of a stretch within this inner adductor and the inseam of the leg, you can straighten the right leg. And then I just want you to take your hands as far down the strap as you can. Bend your elbows so that there's kind of no weight in the arms, or as little as possible, so you're not really working too hard. Then broaden the back of your kneecap and extend the heel. And then soften your shoulders as much as you can. And feel very slightly as though you could pull your left hip forwards and the inseam of your right leg up. And then you want to find that equipoise, that equal kind of equilibrium even of the leg, so it is kind of just balanced upwards, so you're not forcing the leg straight too much, you're not overextending through the hamstring. When we overstretch, the body is very clever at keeping us nice and safe, and it will contract and kind of lock us out, so in turn we actually become less flexible because the body is shutting down the stretch. So you want to find that nice balance of feeling the stretch but without a lot of tension. So you can still broaden your kneecap and find this internal buoyancy and this internal traction, but without locking the knee or forcing the leg. So some of us may have still a bent left knee or the foot much further down to the ground, and that's fine. You just find the space that feels the best for you. Again, you're always welcome to have that right foot on the mat for a little more support. But wherever you are, just soften your mouth and your jaw. Broaden the back of your kneecap again without locking it, and breathe into the back of the left hamstring. And then each time you inhale, feel as though you fill the whole body with breath. So not just the lungs or the chest, but the sides of your waist and the back of your body, the back of the hips and the back of the hamstring. And then as you exhale, you can feel the sensation of dissolving inwards. So you kind of fold into yourself. And this yin practice is a really great opportunity to move inwards. So we have the external action, the action that moves from the inside to the outside through asana, through posture. And then we have the sensation which moves from the outside inward. So we gently search for those sensations and we approach them with caution and with curiosity, opposed to ambition. So rather than trying to find the deepest, sometimes most uncomfortable sensation, to feel as though we're working the hardest possible, find that sensation and explore it in a compassionate way. Your eyes can be closed. This is our final minute here. And you continue to very gently pull the left hip forwards and the inseam of your right leg long to the ceiling. In this yin practice, you never want to feel as though you're working really hard. Rather, that you find your edge of the asana, of the sensation, and then you slightly move back to a place that is manageable and almost relaxing. And this is a place of deep self-inquiry. Good. very slowly release the strap or whatever you're using. Bend your right knee and then cross your left leg over your right. So both of the knees are bent. And then from here, shuffle your hips to the left. And then just let your knees drop to the right. So we'll come into a twist. Try to keep your shoulders down. If it is just too deep to have the legs crossed in this eagle cross, then you're welcome to uncross the left leg and just stack it on top of the right shin instead. Otherwise, I want you to extend from the inside out, the armpits and the shoulder heads away from one another. And then allow them to feel heavy like sandbags, so that with equality they pull down to the earth. So that there is a tendency for the right shoulder to become heavy and the left shoulder to lift. But see if you can focus on bringing the left shoulder down to the mat also. And then eventually, as you find that twist through your lower back and your intercostal muscles, you may begin to also draw the left knee and the right shin closer to the right side of the mat too. But without force. There is a little internal traction, but there is no force or tension. I like to keep my eyes closed within my yin practice. It helps to encourage me to move inwards into this place of self-inquiry, a journey through asana, asana being the tool to take myself deeper into my own mind, my own body and my own experience. And it is through this experience that I have learned to listen to the messages that I send to myself, that for years I was trained and socialized to ignore, to search for external answers or teachers or tools. And that it is through this practice that I have come to see that many of those answers and many of those teachings came from the inside. And that I had just been trained not to trust myself or my own judgment or to even listen. So I became fragmented or almost alienated from myself. And sometimes on my mat is where I come to grapple some of my most innermost thoughts and feelings. Allow the breath to be deep. Good. Now from here, unravel your left leg and stack it on top of the right. And then from here, shuffle your bottom leg, the right leg, back behind you. And maybe take hold of it with your left hand. If you are unable to, you could use your strap or just work towards it. And then actively roll like a wing of a bird, the left shoulder, up and back so it comes towards the earth. So the whole of your sternum and your chest is upright towards the sky. And then press down through the back of the heart, and as you inhale, fill up the back of the lungs so they become buoyant like cushions. You feel them press down into the earth. My right hand can come to my left shin or thigh and encourage the left knee not just down to the ground but actively away from the back foot. So I'm getting a stretch in my right quad, but I'm also pulling my left hip down away from my left floating ribs and my left armpit. So I'm creating extension and length, as well as this feeling of growing and spiraling outwards from my pelvis. I'm twisting my spine and I'm opening my shoulders. And for you, those stretches may feel all different. This is a space of self-inquiry that we should approach intuitively rather than following blindly the instructions of others. It's merely an invitation. Breathing into the full circumference of the trunk, feeling both an internal lightness and an external heaviness as you feel the weight of your body on your mat, but then also an internal buoyancy as though you could move from the organs outwards, that you can rotate the kidneys at the lower back band back behind you, and the front of your lungs and your diaphragm inflate and move to the right. And as you do this, your left armpit becomes broad and expansive. Good. And then gently come back to the center. Just come back to your back for a moment. Take hold of your strap and then take it around the right foot, around the ball or the heel, whichever you prefer. Soften your shoulders so that the triceps become broad and face upwards, and the elbows rest down, so you're not using the arms kind of as levers, but rather they can be relaxed and heavy, and it's just to hold the strap in place if anything. And then soften your left leg if you want to. Feel that the inseam of your right leg is growing long and that your right hip presses forwards. And soften the teeth in your mouth and your back body. And close your eyes if that helps you move inward. And begin to explore your inner landscape. And if you notice that your mouth becomes taut or tense, see if you can separate the lips and the teeth so that the hinge of the jaw becomes heavy and spacious. And trying to bring that right leg towards you, but if it feels as though there is any tension or pulling, bending the knee and bringing it farther away. So you're always just exploring your own architecture. Where is the most appropriate position for this body now? There is sometimes a tendency when we get onto our mats to either force the body into positions that it made previously, whether it's the day before, the week before, a lifetime before, rather than acknowledging that each time we move, the body may feel different and that we should respect that. But we also sometimes try to force our body into what we think it should be able to do, sometimes before it's ready. So let this be an opportunity to listen to the things and the messages it has to say, that the body has to say to us, And it is through compassionately listening that you may learn what is best for you. Your final minute here. And by stretching the hamstrings, not only do we lengthen the back of the leg, begin to release when the hamstring meets the bum, but it's also a really great way to keep the back healthy. The hamstring is attached to the glute, attached to the lower back, and by lengthening this whole back chain, we can improve the health of all the links of the chain. Sometimes we treat our bodies as though we're made of Lego and that everything is happening independently in that limb that we're focused on. But there is a large chain reaction happening in all postures. Bend your knee and release your strap to the side. And then bend both knees and take your right leg on top of your left. Then shuffle your hips to the right and drop the knees to the left. And then broaden your shoulders, twist through the spine. And you may acknowledge that one side feels different to the other. For me, this is particularly tight compared to the other. But rather than forcing the shape to resemble the other sides, I just listen and try to feel the sensations. Move away from the edge of discomfort. And find that space that I can maintain, that I can breathe deeply, and that I can continue my path of self-inquiry. The shoulders move away from one another and become heavy like sandbags, pulling down into the mat. Simultaneously, my right hip pulls forwards and my right knee lengthens and densifies to the left side. All these internal lines of energy moving away from the central axis of my core. And breathing into the fascial sheaths within the sides of the waist, so that the muscles may overlap one another slightly and expose new areas, the new tissues that may benefit from the oxygenation of fresh blood flow. Releasing the leg, stacking your right shin on top of the left, and then slide bottom leg, left leg towards the right hand. Maybe you can reach it. Maybe you can grab hold of the foot or the ankle with your hand or the strap, or just work towards it. And then maybe lift your right knee high over to the right side, left hand for support. And then again, rotate the right shoulder up and down towards the mat like the wing of a bird expanding outwards. And then grow heavy through the upper chest, and at the same time broad from armpit to armpit. And feel the stretch of the lower back as you twist through the back. Then over time, feel the stretch of the left quad. And I should have probably said on the other side, over time there's the option to straighten this top leg and take hold of the top foot with your strap or your hand. I am just going to work with the bent knee variation for today. I'm feeling it's a little bit stiff. It's first thing in the morning, but sometimes when we are feeling a little more flexible or it's later in the day, you're always welcome to add these options in. And I always invite you to approach your practice intuitively, trusting that you will always know deep down what the body wants. So try to learn to listen. Good. Then come back to the center. Just take a few breaths. And any way that feels comfortable, lift yourself up. We'll come onto our shins. Sit down as if you were coming to child's pose. And then from here, rotate your trunk to the left, but keep both of your hips heavy. And then I want you to walk your hands all the way to the left, so as far as you can go, and then relax your head to the ground. If you feel uncomfortable, as though your head is just hanging out, then you can bring a pillow or a brick under the forehead. Otherwise, I want you to press your hips back, keep your right hip grounded, walk your right hand even farther to the left. Straighten the arms, press into the fingers, grow them away, and then release down. Stretching through the right side of the waist, trying to twist all the way to the left. Press into the fingers and push away. If you want to, you're welcome to drop the forearms down and just pull the trunk to the space between the forearms. Grow the neck long. Keep the right sit down, pressing down. Try to asymmetrically stretch away from the pelvis as you rotate to the left. Keep finding that length all the way from right armpit to right hip bone. And lift up onto your hands. Walk yourself through the center. And then the same, take your hands over to the right. Try to twist asymmetrically all the way to the right. Keep both sit bones heavy, and then walk the hands all the way to the left. And grow your left arm long. Maybe drop onto your forearms if that feels more appropriate. Try to pull the left sit bone down. Relax the head, and either allow it to feel heavy in space or stack it onto a pillow or a block, but feel as though you're stretching your left hip back. You're stretching all of those muscles which reside within your left ribs, your intercostal muscles, stretching from hip bone to armpit crease, and then using the twist of the arms, moving away from the waist to stretch even deeper. Soften the shoulders and the jaw. And come back through the center. You can take a few breaths just down in your regular child's pose, arms forwards, forehead down. You're welcome to stay in child's pose for as long as you want if you're practicing at home and you don't have anything to rush off to. Otherwise, if you would like to finish here with me, just come into a comfortable seated position and finish our practice just with an acknowledgement of the energy that comes into making time to come onto our mats. Thumbs together at the sternum, bow our head. Finishing our practice with a big thanks to you for your hard work, your devotion, and your dedication. Namaste.